Today we'll be continuing our Resort Spotlight series with Disney's Yacht Club Resort. Hello and welcome to the Let's Go to Disney podcast. I'm Oliver.
And I'm Lucy.
Today is Sunday, April 12th, and you're listening to episode 135, Resort Spotlight, Disney's Yacht Club Resort. Before we get into today's main topic, here's what's going on in the parks right now. We finally have a reopening date for Big Thunder Mountain Railroad after just about 18 months. It will officially reopen to all guests on May 3rd, which actually is just a couple of weeks away at this point, and we couldn't be more excited to have it back. It's just been so long.
Yes, agreed.
It'll likely have previews for annual pass holders and DVC members in the days leading up. That's often the case, so keep an eye on that if that applies to you and if you're going to be in the parks around that time. Of note, the height requirement has actually dropped from 40 inches to 38 inches, which is actually awesome for younger travelers because if you've got a kid who's just on the cusp, well, that might be the difference between riding and not riding,
Absolutely.
right?
That's very exciting for some families.
Absolutely. And then Buzz Lightyear Space Ranger Spin is officially open in Tomorrowland as of Wednesday, so it's nice to have this open again over there. The changes look amazing, and we actually can't wait to ride it in person. Despite the change, wait times have actually not been too bad, which is good considering that we're in spring break season, right? And it's busy
Usually
at the
wait
parks.
times are a lot higher.
Yeah, exactly.
Over near the Canada Pavilion, Refreshment Port has been closed since January. Disney announced this week that when it reopens, it's going to be renamed La Poutinerie, fitting that it's given its location right next to Canada. It's going to be sponsored by Air Canada, and of course, you can expect to find poutine here. We don't have the menu just yet, but I think it is safe to say that they're going to have the classic poutine here, as well as some more adventurous takes on the Canadian dish as well.
For sure.
Over at the Yacht Club, topical for today's episode, Cruise Cup Lounge closed for refurbishments on February 23rd, and it is set to reopen in late May or early June. We're very curious to see what changes they have made to the inside of this place.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. And then for us, not a whole lot is new this week. We went to see the new Super Mario movie today, actually, and it was just okay. We probably preferred the first one, but the kids seemed to really like it. They said that they did.
Yeah.
And aside from that, I had been tossing around the possibility of a September trip for a while now, and it finally came together in the last week or so. So I'm going to be heading down to Orlando on September 6th. I'll be doing 4 nights at Stella Nova Resort. This is at Universal Orlando, and that's with my sister Alex. We're doing a few park days. We'll go into the classic parks and Epic, of course, and we'll also be checking out Halloween Horror Nights, which is their 35th anniversary this year. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I think that they're going to go big, right? If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you probably know I'm not a big horror fan. Having said that, I equate this to going to see a live sporting event that you're not necessarily a fan of. So for example, let's say, you're not a big fan of Major League Baseball, but actually going to a Major League game, just being in the atmosphere, right? It can be super fun. And that's kind of how it is for me. I don't necessarily love all the IP surrounding those horror things, but actually being there, boots on the ground, enjoying the experiences, It can be really fun.
Definitely different vibes.
Plus, I have heard rumors of a potential Stranger Things house, and I do like Stranger Things.
Yes,
so that
we
would
watched
be,
the whole series.
Yeah, so that would be super, super
and
cool.
your sister is obsessed with anything horror. So.
Absolutely, yeah. And then after that, I'm going to be heading to Walt Disney World to meet good friends of mine that I've mentioned on the podcast before, Sean and Corey. We're going to be doing a few nights on property, hitting the 4 parks, of course, snacking away around food and wine, and checking out Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. So I'm looking forward to all of that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I'm definitely jealous of all the fun you're going to be having, but you guys will have a lot of fun for sure, especially you and your sister. That'll be your first sibling trip, so that'll be good.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll have to get my sister to go with me one day, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we're still thinking that we're going to try to go in October as a family, a week at Walt Disney World with our kids, but those plans have not been firmed up just yet. And then, of course, we have our cruise in February as well, which we are all very much looking forward to.
Absolutely. So with that said, let's get into today's main topic, which will be a resort spotlight of Disney's Yacht Club Resort, which is a bit of a follow-up to our episode that we did on Beach Club just a couple weeks ago. So these are sister resorts, right? And they're quite literally right next to each other. So to be clear, it's on Crescent Lake, right across from Disney's Boardwalk Inn. It's super close to the Epcot International Gateway entrance, right? It's not quite as close as Beach Club, but it's relative here, right? The resorts are literally connected. So we're talking maybe a couple of extra minutes of walking, really not far at all.
Yeah, that's right. And then similar to what we said about Beach Club, this is some of the most prime real estate at Walt Disney World when it comes to resorts and then proximity to the parks. With that, let's get into a little bit of history on the resort. It officially opened its doors to guests back on November 5th of 1990, just a couple of weeks before Beach Club. The theming of Yacht Club is reminiscent of seaside designs that you would expect to find in the northeastern U.S. states. So think New England style. It definitely has more upscale vibes when compared to Beach Club, but it's not stuffy or anything like that. If we had to have a comparison of it, we would definitely say Grand Floridian, but even Grand Flo is much more bougie, we find. It pretty much falls somewhere in between Beach Club and then Grand Flo.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a perfect description.
Yeah.
The buildings here have definitely more of a like subdued tone when you compare it to the pastel colors over at Beach Club. The exterior of the buildings here are a gray tone and a very light gray, right? But with lots of white accents. And there's definitely, I would say, more of a nautical theme overall. So, Beach Club is like beachy. This is like, like nautical, like
the country club almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Vibe.
Like fancy country club.
Not that we've ever been to one, but we assume.
What we assumed it would be like. Yeah, exactly. It's a deluxe resort, right? The prices reflect that, as all the other deluxe resorts. There are no designated DVC villas here, though. Only regular guest rooms and suites. Robert A.M. Stern designed the resort as well as Beach Club and Boardwalk Inn, and he clearly nailed it because these are some of the most beloved resorts on property. Like we said, the resort has heavy nautical theming. The lobby is a little bit more elegant than Beach Club, but yeah, like Lucy said, not stuffy by any means. The lobby has hardwood flooring and blue and cream colored accents like area rugs and lounge chairs. There's also a few couches in here as well to sit on, like in the main lobby if you're waiting for check-in or whatnot. The walls have a pale blue color with lots of white accents. There's nautical items in the lobby as well. So there's a large fancy globe when you first walk into the lobby. There's like model ships and similar items that are on display that you can kind of peruse. There's a second floor with beautiful white railings all around. The space feels fancy, but inviting at the same time, right? It definitely gives off those seaside vibes without feeling like overly fancy where it almost makes you like uncomfortable, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Or like underdressed if you're coming in your park attire. It's not like that. Yeah.
I've seen a lot of movies where it is set in the Hamptons. And that's, I think, where I get the biggest vibe of it is like from what I see the Hamptons looking like on TV, that's what I picture is this
Yacht Club
style.
Yeah.
Like we said, the outside of the buildings have a pale gray color with lots of white accents, and we're not doing it justice because it is quite pretty. The rooms have balconies with pretty railings as well, and then just like Beach Club, the resort is compact too. There is only one bus stop, and everything is relatively close, so it doesn't take too long to walk anywhere. And then while the theming definitely feels a little bit more adult, it is still one of the most family-friendly resorts on property because of its size, the proximity to Epcot, and then access to Stormalong Bay.
Which is huge for sure. Yeah.
So in terms of layout, on either side of the front entrance, you'll find the check-in desks, concierge, and bell services. And then when you're facing the back of the resort, like you just walk through the front doors, if you go to your left, you'll come to Ale and Compass and the Cruise Cup Lounge. And then if you go down that hallway, you'll come to Yachtman's Steakhouse. And then just beyond that is the Ship Shape Health Club. And then on the other side of the lobby, so on your right, is the Market at Ale and Compass, which doubles as the quick service options and merchandise stores for this resort. And then beyond there is just a bunch of guest rooms.
Yeah, exactly.
And then at the front of the resort, there is a large convention center building just off to the right of the bus stop area.
Yeah, exactly. All right, now for room categories. So the rooms at Yacht Club got a refurb very recently, actually, in the first few months of 2025. And the rooms definitely have a light and upscale feel. Not that they were bad before, but like anything else, right? Or a refresh always helps make the room feel a little bit more, like new and shiny, right? And this is no different. When it comes to the rooms, there are regular rooms and suites, like we said, and there's also club level access rooms as well. For the standard guest rooms, you have the resort or water view rooms. The resort view rooms have views of either the garden, rooftop, or the parking area. So the rooms have one king bed or one king bed and one day bed, or two queen beds, or two queen beds and one day bed. And they sleep up to 5 adults. They also include a small desk and chair, a small couch/seating area, a beverage cooler, a coffee and tea station, and then, of course, a patio or a balcony, depending on which floor you're on. The water view rooms have the same exact layout, but with views of Crescent Lake or the quiet pool.
And then like most of the rooms across Walt Disney World, the rooms have natural wood colored flooring, which is actually a really nice thing because it is so much easier to keep clean than carpets when you really think about it.
Absolutely.
I much prefer a hardwood floor personally.
Me too, for sure.
The walls are cream colored with dark blue crown molding and then subtle Disney artwork on the walls. The bed headboards are cream colored with blue accents. The area rug, the cushions, and the couch have blue, red, and gold accents. There's seating on the balcony and patio as well, so you get a little side table there as well, so it's a nice little spot. And then the washrooms have double sinks, and then the shower and toilet are separated by that pocket door, which is always nice when you just have a couple of people getting ready or just getting cleaned up at the same time. We really appreciate that kind of setup. Yeah, the barrier in between. The standard rooms are usually around $550 a night. That's marked during the low season, and then upwards of $800 to $900 a night during busier seasons. And then the water views are around $50 or so more per night on average.
Yeah, exactly. And then you also have club level access rooms, which also feature the same resort or water view rooms. Okay, so the rooms are not actually different. The only difference, obviously, is that you have access to the Regatta Club, which will have food and drinks on offer throughout the day. For suites, you have the 2-bedroom suites with views of Stormalong Bay or Crescent Lake. They sleep up to 6 adults and have 2 king beds and 1 queen-size sleeper sofa. You have the Commodore VP suite, which also has views of Stormalong Bay or Crescent Lake. It also sleeps up to 6 adults with 2 king beds and 1 queen-size sleeper sofa. The Captain's Deck suite has views of the garden with 1 king bed and 2 queen beds and sleeps up to 6 adults as well. And lastly, the Turret suite with views of Stormalong Bay or Crescent Lake. It has 1 king bed and 2 queen beds and 1 queen-size sleeper sofa or 4 queen beds, and it sleeps up to 8 adults. These are all well over $1,000 a night at any time of year. So yeah, that's just what it is.
It is what it is. This obviously starts to get more expensive really quickly, and then this is out of reach, honestly, for your average family. What we will say for the Yacht Club rooms is that they are just a little less popular than Beach Club, so you can usually find that the resort and waterview rooms might be a little bit less expensive than Beach Club, depending on availability. So if you do want to stay there and don't mind either resort, it's actually a good idea to price match between the two.
Absolutely, for sure.
All right, next up, let's talk dining. So just like Beach Club, because again, it's right next door, there is a ton of dining options within walking distance. Like we alluded to earlier, there are a few restaurants right in the resort itself. And the first we're going to mention is Ale and Compass. This is located just to the left of the main lobby when you are facing the back of the resort. The inside of the restaurant has cream-colored walls and blue carpet and upholstery on the chairs and booths. There's high windows and a domed ceiling that make it just kind of look like you're inside of a lighthouse, which is a very nice touch. It definitely feels upscale without feeling stuffy.
Yeah, exactly. It serves breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For breakfast, it has an extensive menu with your classic options like an American breakfast, waffles, chicken and waffles, which I highly recommend. And they also have options like steak and eggs and salmon as well. For lunch, they have a few options like the cheddar burger, the fish and chips, a protein bowl, a seasonal market chicken sandwich, among a few other options. And for dinner, it has like steakhouse vibes, I would say. So like steak, pasta, seafood options that should please most guests, right? If you're not super picky.
Yeah.
This is really, I would say, a solid table service restaurant that has some seriously good food without super high price tags, which is nice. I had the chicken and waffles for lunch here recently during marathon weekend, and I really, really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, and then attached to the restaurant is the Ale and Compass Lounge. It has much darker vibes in here, so think dark blue walls, exposed wood on the ceiling, and then gold accents on the chairs, tables, and bar. The nautical theming is strong in here, so it definitely matches the rest of the resort for sure. They have a good selection of nautical-themed drinks and some good appetizer and small bites menu as well. They have a variety of beers, wines, and high-end liquors, and then signature cocktails like the spicy pomegranate margarita and the Captain's Mai Tai. The menu features seasonal market flatbread, the clams casino, the Ale and Compass salad, meatballs with porcini and parmesan cream sauce, the pub cheeseburger, truffle fries, Parker house rolls, and spreads, and crispy wings.
Yeah, exactly. And next to Ale and Compass Lounge, you have the Cruise Cup Lounge, which is, again, reopening fairly soon here. This is the lounge for Yachtman's Steakhouse. The vibe is much warmer in here with a ton of natural colored wood, like everywhere. So think like chairs, booths, the bar, walls, ceiling, just everything is exposed wood. There's gold and maroon accents on the upholstery, and there's like oars and rower artwork on the like walls and stuff. I'm just not sure what it's going to look like when it reopens. If that'll have changed. I don't imagine they'll have changed like the wood feel, but like maybe some of the I would say soft goods might have changed. So yeah, time will tell on that. They have a full bar here with beer, wine, cocktails, and liquors. And then, of course, the menu features like, pub-style food. So think of charcuterie and cheese board, the Yachtman's signature bread, lobster bisque, prime rib sliders, a Caesar salad, the steakhouse wedge salad, a jumbo shrimp cocktail, and house-made chips with black garlic aioli, which are phenomenal.
See, the little menu here piques my attention more than the Ale and Compass Lounge menu.
Yeah, but the Ale and Compass is not to be
overlooked either. Yeah,
for sure. It's really good there. Yeah.
And then further down, closest to Beach Club, is the Yachtman's Steakhouse. This is a signature dining restaurant, and it is really beautiful inside. The main dining has cream-colored walls and ceilings with large exposed wood beams and pillars in a gorgeous wood color. The chairs and tables are that same wood color as well. There's nautical artwork on the walls, and the carpets have motif inlaid, and it's a dark green and burgundy color. There's another section of this dining room that has a massive dome ceiling with windows that look like the inside of a classical ship. This room is circular with wooden floors, and we are really not doing it justice because it's really well done, and it's actually quite elegant. On their menu, they have soup, salad, and seafood starters. For steaks, they have the 7-ounce filet mignon, a 14-ounce roasted prime rib, a 12-ounce New York strip steak, a 22-ounce Angus bone-in ribeye. They also have a few pasta, chicken, short rib, and pork tenderloin options if you prefer that.
Yeah, that's right. And for the dessert, they have the Yachtman's signature chocolate cake, the crème brûlée, the lemon meringue, and a New York cheesecake. And then back on the other side of the lobby is the Ale and Compass Marketplace, which is the main quick service location. It also doubles as their merchandise location. They serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner here. The breakfast menu has a breakfast bowl, Mickey-shaped waffles, of course, an egg white breakfast wrap, ham, egg, and cheddar breakfast sandwiches, turkey and cheese breakfast sandwiches. And they also have things like, fresh fruits and oatmeal, and of course, a full bakery with breakfast items and desserts, and then some grab-and-go menu options as well. For lunch and dinner, they have a wide selection of both hot and cold sandwiches and salad. And then, of course, the bakery is open all day, right? So you can have that at any time. They also have specialty coffees, soft drinks, cocktails as well. Basically anything you can want, right?
Yeah.
There's nothing in here that really stands out, I would say, but it's got everything you need if you're staying here.
Yeah, usually we like to hit up the quick service on like our first night when we get in there, just because the kids want to just get in the pool.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. It all depends. But like in the last couple times, that seems to be what we've done. Just makes it life a little bit easier too.
Yeah, totally depends on where we're staying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Beach Club is literally right next door, so all of its dining options are just a short walk away. And then by extension, of course, everything on the other side of the boardwalk, including the Boardwalk Inn, and then all the restaurants inside Epcot are also super close as well. Again, this is a huge advantage of staying here as well, the easy access to all of these great dining options. So next up, let's get into pools and recreation. So on the far side of the resort, closest to the Dolphin Hotel, and then furthest from Beach Club is the Admiral Pool, which is a quiet pool. But the really nice thing about Yacht Club and Beach being so close is that they share pools as well, including the famous Stormalong Bay. We've talked about it on our Beach Club episode, but Stormalong Bay and Shipwreck Pool is by far the best pool on all of Walt Disney World property. The whole area covers 3 acres. It features a sand bottom pool and sandy beach area, a massive life-size shipwreck replica, complete with a 230-foot water slide that goes through it. There's a lazy river, a miniature water slide. The whole area is just phenomenal, and everybody in your family is going to absolutely love it here for sure. Aside from its primo location, this is probably the second biggest draw to these resorts.
Or arguably the first, right?
Especially with kids.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And to be clear, Yacht Club guests can also access the other 2 quiet pools as well, so not just Stormalong Bay. These are the tidal pool over in the garden area closest to Epcot and Crescent Lake, and then the Dunes Cove pool, which is over by the villas over at Beach Club. So basically, if you're
lots of options.
if you're staying at either Yacht or Beach Club, you can interchangeably use all the pools between those 2 resorts. They also share the gym, which is named the Ship Shape Fitness Center. We mentioned that earlier. That's open 24/7. They actually share all of their recreation activities as well, which also includes movies under the stars on Shipwreck Beach, which now starts a little later now that the days are getting longer. So that's now at 8 p.m. So right now on Sundays, it's Encanto. Tuesdays is Zootopia 1 or 2, depending on the night. Thursdays is Moana, and Saturdays is Big Hero 6. There are also campfires nightly from 6 to 7 p.m. That's at Shipwreck Beach, with complimentary marshmallows, and of course, s'mores kits are available to purchase. That's the case at every single Disney resort. The Lafferty Place Arcade is open from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m., and there are boat rentals available at the Bayside Marina daily from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. There are arts and crafts on the beach. This is Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays from 4 to 5 p.m. And you can make Mickey tie-dye shirts on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday evenings from 4 to 5 p.m. Or I should say afternoon, not evening.
Yeah. Late afternoon.
Yeah.
There is a silent disco on Shipwreck Beach Monday and Fridays at 8 p.m. And then you also have the nighttime trivia nightly at Stormalong Bay, which starts at 7:30 p.m. You also have the Yo-Ho Let's Glow Party on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. and then daily poolside activities at 2 p.m. led by cast members at the resort. So there's always lots going on here, which is great. There's also a volleyball court, a tennis court shared between the resorts, and if you're wanting to go for a nice walk or run, the boardwalk is probably the most scenic place on property to do that. Plus, it's all lit up in the evening after the sun goes down, so it's just the perfect place to go for a light stroll and grab some ice cream in the evening hours.
Yeah, that sounds lovely for sure.
Absolutely. All right, next up, let's talk location and transportation. So this is exactly the same as Beach Club Resort. You're just outside the International Gateway entrance, so it is easily walkable from the resort, which is awesome. It's about a 5 to 10 minute walk, depending on how quickly you walk.
Yeah, exactly. And then for Hollywood Studios, the best way is to take the Skyliner, right? So the Skyliner station is right next to the International Gateway entrance. So you board there and then you have to transfer at Caribbean Beach for the Hollywood Studios line. If you prefer, you can actually take boats. That's an option as well. So the Friendship boats travel to and from the resorts to Hollywood Studios and back. You can also walk to Hollywood Studios if you'd like, depending on how quickly you walk. It's about, I would say, a 20 or 30 minute walk, give or take 5 minutes or so. And then for Magic Kingdom, Animal Kingdom, and Disney Springs, it's buses from the resort. But again, given its size, it only has that one bus stop, which is great. All right, now for the pros and cons. So for cons, it is a deluxe resort, right? So prices are going to reflect that. It's not cheap to stay here. That's the case for, every deluxe resort. And it's just what it is. It can be somewhat more accessible during quieter times like late August and early September, right? That's when it dips to close to $500 a night. But again, that's still
that's still expensive.
It's still very steep. Yeah. It's also not overly themed, and maybe it feels, I would say, a little bit more adult than some of the other resorts on property, including Beach Club, which is right next door. And really, I would say that's it for cons. It definitely has more pros.
Yes, I agree. It has a lot of the same pros as Beach Club. It is a compact resort, so it doesn't take long to get anywhere, which is really good for young families, adults, and grandparents as well. It's super convenient to get from the parks to the resort, especially from Epcot and Hollywood Studios, and you've got multiple ways to travel to these places as well. If you need to come back during the day for a rest, a nap, or a swim, it's just a really good home base for that. It has a ton of dining options, both at the resort and nearby within walking distance, which is absolutely awesome. And then, of course, Stormalong Bay. We've said it over and over again. The pool area is hands down the best anywhere on property. So the fact that you have access to it, just staying here is a major win.
Definitely, absolutely. So our final thoughts, we definitely recommend a stay here, right? We 100% would. It's on average a touch less expensive than Beach Club with essentially identical amenities, right? So if it's in the budget, we can safely say that staying here is a viable option. Yeah, if you can swing it.
Yeah, for sure. And like we said, the theming is not as fun as other resorts, even Beach Club right next door. But beyond that, the experience is largely the same. These are some of the best resorts anywhere on property. So either way, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, for sure. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And it's funny because depending on who you talk to, some people really prefer the monorail resorts over the Epcot area resorts. But, it's obviously different strokes for different folks. But the thing is that the monorail resorts are awesome and they are close to Magic Kingdom, especially the Contemporary.
Yeah.
Like it's
yes,
super
very close. You walk there.
There's just something about the Epcot area resorts. They're like really, really close. Like we're talking if you're walking from Grand Floridian or the Polynesian to Magic Kingdom, you have probably a good 25, 30 minute walk. But
Absolutely.
if you're staying at Boardwalk Inn, Yacht Club, Beach Club, you're 10 minutes to Epcot. And just the boardwalk itself is super pretty. And not that Seven Seas Lagoon is not beautiful, because it is, but it's just a lot more compact in that Epcot area. And to me, that's just by far my favorite resort area. If we could stay anywhere, money was no object, it would 100% be Yacht and Beach Club.
Yeah, I would agree.
I love, love, love that area of property.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
So with that said, thank you for joining us today to talk Disney's Yacht Club Resort. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And as always, if you could leave us a rating and review, it would be greatly appreciated. If you choose to do so, you can leave reviews right on Apple Podcasts. And for Spotify, you can leave a rating.
You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Let's Go.to-Disney, as well as on our Facebook page, Let's Go to Disney. We share some helpful reels here as well as some fun ones. The link tree in the show notes will take you to all of our socials.
Have a great day, and we'll see you real soon.